some breath work. And I think when we are having busy mornings, busy days, anything that kind of makes your mind start to go very quickly and have to hold a lot of information. Sometimes just a few minutes of slowing down the breath can be wonderful to help us ground, and it doesn't take very long. So, if you notice you're hurrying or you have a rush sensation in your body or a sense of overwhelm where the to-do list is a mile long, or maybe you haven't even gathered enough concrete thoughts to put the to-do list together. So if you're swirling in some way, sometimes just a bit of breath can make a bit of difference. So we're going to start our practice this way this morning. And remember, you can do this kind of stuff. I mean, you have to keep your eyes open, but you can do it when you're driving. You can do it when you're washing dishes. You can do it when you're working. Just take a pause from the computer or whatever else you're doing. So let's go ahead and sit up straight and tall and find a place of comfort on your seat. Okay. And, be comfortable. We'll be here for just a few minutes. So you want to make sure that you have a good level of comfort in the body. So maybe sit up on something supportive. Okay. And then just take a moment to close your eyes and notice. What's the very first thing you notice in your body? And before we start, doing a body scan or trying to find ease, let's go directly into the breath. So observe just your natural breath as much as you can. It's very difficult to have a peak of the wild animal, of the natural breath. And if you can, start to pay attention to your posture. So, the posture for breathing. You want to have your shoulders just slightly back with the shoulder blades ever so slightly engaged, not ramrod tight on your back, but a back body awareness, a sense of the head slightly back from our natural tendency to lean forward. Imagining your sternum is being lifted by a hot air balloon. Feel the comfortable ground of your pelvis. Are you in a good place where you are not too far forward or backward in anterior posterior tilt, a nice neutral position? Notice your face. Can you relax any tension across your face? Notice the base of the skull and the sides of the neck, the upper traps, the scalene muscles. Can you just melt and ease them up a bit? And finally, let's move into the sensation of the chest itself. So the rib cage, the diaphragm. If anything's holding you back from sensation of being able to breathe well, just notice what is tight, what is locked, what is bound, what can you free up. And it might mean a little bit of mobility. So feel free to wiggle and move if that's what's needed. And once you get as comfortable as you can be, as spacious as you can be, let's again bring our attention into the sensation of breath. The bottomless pit of the diaphragm, like it can just drop. Many floors just drop, drop. And then they can rebound back up. Now we're going to manipulate the breath just a little bit. So ever so slightly drop your chin, not a big drop. You don't want to tuck your chin down toward your chest, just a slight turning down toward the sternum, like the third eye can gaze into the heart. And let's bring our thumb and ring finger of our right hand to our nostrils. Put it high, put the thumb pad and the ring finger pad high on your nostrils, like where your nostrils begin, not on the tips. And we're going to ever so slightly block off. You can start with just a teeny bit of a block off of your nostril, both sides. Ever so slight, so like 5%, 10%. We're going to get a little deeper into this in a moment, but just for now, put a teeny bit of pressure gradient onto the nostrils so that you wake things up. You kind of give a push up into the musculature that is required. And you might notice that you're congested, so go grab a tissue if you need to. Both the inhale and the exhale, a little bit of compression down on the nostrils. Okay, and release your hand. That's just our little warm up there. So release the hand, take a deep breath in. This might be a good time to blow your nose if you feel like you need to. Reestablish the alignment of your spine, the sense of spaciousness across your chest, the softness in your face. And now we're going to move to some alternate nostril breathing. So thumb and ring finger back on the nostrils. We'll close off the right and begin by breathing in through the left. And anytime we use one arm to do something, we tend to want to lean our head, either, the ear down toward that shoulder or turn our head toward that shoulder. See if you can keep the alignment of your chest, your collarbones, your head to be in a neutral place. Relax your shoulder as much as possible so that this isn't creating more tension in the body. So remember, we're always breathing out through one side, in through the same side, and then switching sides. And if you find that you are congested on one side or the other, just do the best that you can. Notice not only the turbinates, all the sinuses opening, but see if you can pay attention to the impact on the brain itself. Of course, you're not going to do this kind of breath work when you're driving or doing something that requires your attention, focus, and arms. But you can stop and do something like alternate nostril breathing or any type of pranayama just for a few minutes to help ground you. So when you finish breathing out through the left side, that'll be the end of your cycle, and you can relax your hand down. And once again, return to neutral. Now let's check in with, once you get there, check in with how your body is feeling. You might need to do a little seated cat-cow, or you cut around the back and arch the back, or maybe even a little twist from one side to the other. We have one more technique to go here. Okay, so you can kind of just move around, get the back and spine to be comfy again. And then we're going to return back to closing off both nostrils, but instead of the warm up, we're going to go a little deeper now. So instead of 5 or 10%, try 20, 30, 40% of your nostril closure. So it's kind of hard to gauge like how much is 40%, but get to a place where you're uncomfortably comfortable or comfortably uncomfortable, where you are restricting the nasal passageways, having to slow down your inhale and your exhale to a narrow channel, but not so stressful that you feel like you're getting short of breath or that you're getting too much pressure in the brain. So, find the comfortably uncomfortable. This is never super comfortable because we are restricting airway, right? We are restricting airway. So there's a sense in the brain that there is trouble on the horizon that might kind of pop up in your brain. So just let your brain know everything's fine. You're not losing breath. We have full control over this and we can let go at any moment. So expand your window of tolerance if you can. And if your window of tolerance is degrading and you are having any sort of, you know, sympathetic nervous system response that's uncomfortable, then just stop. Okay, you can always do this in small increments. There's a lot of goodness that happens when we restrict our breathing. We elevate our carbon dioxide level just a little bit, which is very helpful. Breathing through the nose increases our nitric oxide in our lungs, which is a bronchodilator, an antimicrobial. So good for us. You're ready. You can let that go. Just keep your eyes closed for a moment. Take a beautiful breath. Fullness, spaciousness. Enjoy all the room for breathing. Keep the exhales nice and slow. All right, open your eyes and let's go ahead and stay seated, but find the cat-cow here. So round the spine, arch the back, chin up, rolling back again, rising up, and then neutral. Place the hands together at the heart. Notice if your mind is a little more grounded, a little more centered. Offer an intention for your practice here. And then let's release our hands and come onto our back. All right, so go ahead and find your way into or onto a different plane, where we're horizontal to the earth. Okay. Let's take our arms overhead and maybe have a giant big stretch. Maybe you yawn naturally in this position. Maybe it just feels good to stretch your back in this way and your shoulders. Just enjoy the body starting to awaken and to open. Okay, and then bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. All right, then circle the knees 2 or 3 times. Let's go this way. And then 2 or 3 times, let's go the other way. All right, and then let's open the knees away from the midline and bring them back in toward the midline. Just enjoy the openness of the pelvis and the hip joints. And then right knee comes into the chest, left leg long. Feel and enjoy that sense of a squeeze. Move your ankles and roll around in your toes if you want to. And then grab a strap and wrap it around your right foot and lift that leg straight up in the air. Now, when you do this, you can either have your left leg bent with your foot on the floor or your left leg straight, whichever feels nice. Let's not lose all the beautiful length of breath that we cultivated. So perhaps eyes open or eyes shut, doesn't matter, but perhaps you can rest your brain down on the ground a little bit more. Feel the sense of openness that's coming in your legs. Maybe flex and point your foot while you're here. And even though your attention is drawing into the sensation of what's happening in your legs, see if you can stay with the breath. As you're ready, let's open the right leg out to the right. So you have a sense of the inner thighs now opening. Be very mindful of how the knee feels. See if you cannot overstretch the attachments at your sit bones or knees. Lengthen through the spine. Breathing well. Heavy head, heavy shoulders. And then reach that leg straight up in the air again. And we're going to cross the right leg over to the left. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Feel into the sense that your body is at ease and relaxed. Give the gift of your nervous system of a nice long exhale. And then lift that leg straight up in the air. 2 feet into the strap. Enjoy the length not only of the legs, but of the spine as well. Heavy head, relaxed shoulders. Flex and point both feet while you're here. Just open up the Achilles and the calves. And then when you're ready, take your right foot out of the strap. Keep your left foot in the strap. Left foot is in the air, right foot is on the ground, or right leg is on the ground. You decide. Let the neck and shoulders be relaxed. Let the head be heavy. Reach your left foot up. Drop your left hip down. Feel that sense of space. Feel free to move your foot in the air a bit if you want to. How is your breath? It's so easy to forget to kind of just follow the shiny ball of strong sensation, which might be your calf or hamstring right now, and forget to pay attention to the ease of your neck and shoulders, the weight of your head dropping down, the fullness of your breathing. All right, let's open the left leg out to the left, ground your right side. Feel into the breath. Your right leg can be on the ground or right foot can be on the ground, whatever works for you. Be very mindful of what your left knee is feeling. So you want stretch to be in the belly of your inner hamstring and adductors. How's your breath again? Just keep checking in over and over again. Make that breath as long and smooth as you can. And bring that leg back up. We'll cross the left leg over to the right. Allow the left hip to move away from your shoulder. Stretch through the left big toe, the inner heel. Find your breathing. Head is heavy. It's amazing how even when we're resting on the floor, we can try to pick our head up and not give it its full weight. All right, let's bring that leg back up in the air. Okay, one more time, 2 feet into the strap, nice and long. Feel the spaciousness in your spine. Maybe you want to flex and point your toes. Maybe you like to just be there. And release the strap and lower the legs down. Come into an open star in the body. Stretch your limbs out. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Exhale, knees into your chest. Chin up. One more time. Expand, open. Exhale. Draw it in. Let's roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. Okay. Once again, find the rhythm of your breathing, the rhythm of your yielding before you start to move. So these undercurrents of our practice that aren't, gross movement patterns, not like, internal, external rotation. When we come into things like becoming more fluid and breathing well and feeling yielding and the capacity for stability and surrender, these are deeper processes that lend themselves to a different quality of sensation than just a mechanical lift your leg or lift your arm. All right, so see if you can kind of drop down into that strata where those types of sensations are available to you. All right, let's move through some cat-cows. The arch and round of your spine. Pay attention to the fullness of the posture. How is your breath through the cat-cow? And then feel free to move the spine around any way you want to move the spine around. You can roll around in the hips, move your shoulders, move your head. And find your way down into child's pose. Hands out in front of you. Drop some weight. Feel the base of the skull surrender, the eyes surrender. Inch the fingertips a little bit further away and feel your shoulders open. Maybe rock a little bit from side to side. Walk the hands over to one side of the mat so the rib cage finds a pathway of openness here. Breathing well. Keep the base of the skull as soft as you possibly can. And back to center, over to the other side, a nice open rib cage. Feel the stretch from your fingers down to your pelvis. Where is it missing? And then come back up and move the spine around any way you want. Right leg straight back behind you, left arm out in front of you. Start to find the stabilizing forces of the body. Keep the neck as neutral as you can. Feel the core start to kick into gear. Find your breath. Your ribs can still move. Okay, take a deep breath in, lengthen. As you exhale, hug underneath you. Elbow and knee come together. Inhale, stretch it out. Exhale, draw it in. Inhale, out you go. Hand and knee down onto the ground. Change sides. Left leg is straight behind you. Right arm is out in front of you. Stabilize through your core. So start to feel that 360 wrap around your torso. Breathe anyway. So even though there's support and stability in your core, breathe well anyway. Let the ribs expand. Okay, let's exhale. Elbow and knee come in. Inhale and bring it out. Exhale. Inhale to stretch out. Hand and knee down onto the ground. Sway your hips around, move your spine. Inhale, left arm lifting all the way to the sky. Take a breath. Exhale and slide that shoulder underneath you. Enjoy the thoracic mobility. As always, when your head is resting on the ground, let it rest on the ground. Try to keep yourself from holding tension in your neck. All right, lift that arm all the way back up in the air. Hand down onto the ground. Let's change sides. Arm up in the air, find your breath. Exhale, slide that shoulder down. Gaze toward the ground. The sense of spaciousness through the back body. Big breaths here. All right, let's go ahead and find your way up, reaching that arm up. Hand comes down onto the ground. Curl the toes under. Stretch back towards child's pose with your feet broad and open. So stretch the bottom of your feet for a moment. And then hips back off the heels, tap your feet. And let's find our way to dog pose, lengthening through the spine. So pedal out your feet. Enjoy the spaciousness. So once again, see if you can experience some of those qualities like yielding and feeling the breath infuse through the body, letting the sense of the inversion take over, feeling the breath move well in your body, letting the diaphragm move, letting the belly expand. Walk your feet forward, come into Uttanasana, relax your neck, shimmy your hips if you want to, halfway lift, neck is long, exhale and fold. Drop your weight, seat, and lift your chest, rise. Take a breath, cactus, open the arms, and then release the hands, give them a good shake. Interlace your fingers behind your back, open across your chest, bring your shoulder blades toward each other, lean your head back for a moment, open your throat, and then relax your head, bend forward, knees are deeply bent, arms away from spine wherever they go, shoulder blades toward each other. Relax your neck, and then release your hands down, maybe onto blocks if you want, halfway lift, exhale and melt again. All right, take your feet wide to the edges of the mat, hands on high edge of blocks. Okay, put your blocks together so they become kind of like one. Matter of fact, stack 2 blocks one on top of the other, so you have a nice broad base underneath you. If you need more height than that, of course, you can stack one block higher. Okay, we're going to take a little twist. So take your left hand into the center, right hand on your hip, and just enjoy some thoracic mobility. So keep your pelvis stable and only let your thorax do the movement. And back to center, other hand on your hip, left hand on hip, right hand on block. Twist just a little bit. So we don't go very far in our thoracic mobility when our pelvis is stable. And then relax and melt. All right, so soften your way into this is a nice wide Uttanasana. And put your blocks on either side and bring your right foot forward and your left foot back. Coming into a lunge. Open the chest. Let's start bending and straightening the front leg here, finding your way into mobility. Remember, we're staying present with your breathing body. All right, so when you're ready, rise up, crescent lunge. Bring your arms wherever you want them to be. Breathing well. Soft neck and shoulders, a full expansive breath. All right, we're going to bring our hands down. Keep your left hand on the floor or on a block, your choice. We're going to do some rolling twists here. So with your right hand, we're going to lift up and then roll it back. Now, a lot of times when we do this movement, we can make it just be about the shoulder joint. And instead of doing these shoulder swings, try to make your rib cage turn. So you can put your back knee on the ground if you need a little more stability. Your choice. Okay, but we want the rib cage to move while we do this. One more time. Hands come down onto the ground. Back to dog pose. Long spine here. Reach into the spaciousness of your body. Yield and ground. Fully breathe. Come forward into a plank as you're ready. Stable, stable through your core. Let your rib cage flare out to the sides. Let your exhales be full. All right, knees down if you need. Come lying onto the floor. Roll the shoulder blades a couple times on the back. And then inhale, cobra pose. Exhale. Melt. Take your hands wider, fingertips, finger pads, I should say, on the ground. Rise up, turn your head to the right. Exhale, come back down. Rise up, turn your head to the right or to the left, wherever you can go. Come on down. And find your way onto all fours. Move the spine. Breathing deeply. Shake your hips left and right. Okay, let's come into left side. So left foot coming forward, come to a lunge. Open up through the hip flexors of that back leg. Your knee can be down on the ground or up off the ground, your choice. Let's start moving through the posture. So square hips, straighten your legs, and then bend. Breathing well. All right, after a few times of that, ground yourself. Get your legs supporting you, and rise up when you're ready, crescent lunge. Now, of course, traditionally our arms are up in the air, but you can do anything that supports your breathing. So experiment with some different positions of your arms and just see what gives you the capacity to have a beautiful full inhale and a complete long exhale. Find our way down. Left hand is on your knee to begin. Right hand's on the floor, so or on the block. So you can put your hand on the ground or block. Now remember, we're not just swinging our arm. We're removing the rib cage. Big breaths here. Right, hands down, back to dog pose. Find your breath and walk your feet forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt again. Come on up to stand. We're going to either do this against a wall or on a piece of furniture. We're going to take our elbows on a piece of furniture, the back of a chair, and we're going to stretch through our shoulders. Now you can also do this with your arms against, oh, here, let me show you on this wall. You can put your forearms against a wall and stretch back here. So you do not have to have this on a piece of furniture, but you can choose one way or the other. So the tendency, if you're hyper flexible, is to sink your chest and armpits down. Lift under your armpits. Keep the neck neutral, stretch the spine. Thumbs come down toward the spine. The knees can be bent, the legs can be straight, whatever position is comfortable for you. Try not to overtax the shoulder joints by sagging and sinking. Keep the sense of your sternum is neutral and your wings are spreading. Your collarbones are wide. Your rib cage is expansive on the breath. And then you can take a step forward to relax out of there and just shake off your arms. Okay, it's a big movement. Breathing well. Big circle through the chest and float forward. Relax your head. Halfway lift. Melt again. We're going to turn to the side of your mat. So get a nice wide stance here. Okay. Wide legs. And come down to a wide squat. Bend your knees, elbows inside your knees. Let's just get used to the legs opening. Ground through your feet. Find your breath. Drop your seat so it's in line with your knees if you can. All right, and then rise all the way up. We're going to come with our feet pointing straight now. Hands on blocks or the ground. So you can decide. You can have a stack for your hands, one block, no, 2 blocks, whatever feels good. Feet are pointing straight. Thigh bones back, shin bones slightly forward. So we're not locked out in our knees. Have the block, either kind of under your face or your chest, whichever position you find to be most comfortable. We're going to take our left hand onto the block, right hand onto the hip and twist. So again, we're trying to keep the pelvis neutral. Sometimes when we twist, often when we twist, we let the pelvis follow so that it's not too taxing on the thorax. But let's see where your range of motion is available just in your thorax today. So thigh bones move back, hips are parallel, just twisting the thoracic spine. And back to center, change sides. Breathing well. Find the length of your spine. Thigh bones move back, shin bones forward so the knees are soft. Find the end point of where your rib cage can twist. Exhale and come back. Squat again. So you can turn your feet out a little bit if that feels more comfortable. We're going to take our left arm and bring it to the outside of the ankle. Other hand is on top of the knee and twist open. Find your breath. Once again, let the thorax do the work. Okay, coming back to center, still in your squat. Grab onto your left ankle with your right hand. Your left hand is on your knee. Twist open. Stay in your squat. Breathe well. And then come back to center. Straighten out the legs. Let's turn back to the front of your mat and come into dog pose. Long, spacious spine. Deep breaths here. Find your inhale and your exhale. Come forward into a plank. Steady yourself. Nice and sturdy through the center body. All right, put your knees down and find the ground. Roll the shoulders, any back bend that you want. Find what feels good in the body. Melt your way on your exhale down to the ground. Come up onto your forearms. We're going to pass through some dolphin and forearm planks. So forearms onto the ground, lift your hips high, start in dolphin pose. Our forearms are equidistant, or I should say, your hands and your elbows are the same width apart as your shoulders. Find your breath, and then let's start to walk your feet back. Come into a forearm plank. You can always put your knees down on the ground if you need more support. Breathing deeply, rib cage expansive. And then we're going to walk your feet in, back up into a dolphin pose. Full breaths here. Feel the rib cage move. And then walk back again. One more time. Coming into a forearm plank. You can always put your knees on the ground to support you. Breathe well. Neck is soft. All right, and then if you want to put your knees down, come into any back bend you want. Maybe a Sphinx pose might be comfortable, maybe something else. And then exhale and relax. So this is, this can be a little trying for shoulders. So I just want you to be very mindful. Okay, we're gonna take the right arm straight out like a T. Okay, and we're gonna roll a bit onto that shoulder. Take your left leg and bring it behind you and tap it, or maybe place it onto the floor. Pay attention to how your shoulder feels. Do not let it get overtaxed. And if you can, lift your other arm in the air. And then come back to center. Change sides. Arms straight out like a T. We're rolling onto our side. Okay, we're going to take the right leg and bring it down onto the ground behind you. And if you are comfortable and stable, you can lift the right arm in the air. Only go where your shoulders say this is okay. This is a lot of stretch for the shoulder capsule. So make sure you're not in a vulnerable place in your joint. And then come back around. Our twist we often do, left leg, lifting up toward your armpit, cross your right arm over to the left side of your mat. Now see if you can allow the thorax to be the main mover of this posture. So as we come into a twist and we try to get the back of the other hand, your left hand onto the ground, open through your rib cage, breathe well. Heavy head. And then come back around, slide that leg down, neutral. Maybe a Sphinx. And then other side. Bring your right knee up toward your armpit, cross the left arm to the right side of the mat, and twist yourself open. You might find that twisting one direction is much easier than twisting another. Now, because we're open chain here, our hips are probably moving, so it's not as tight on the thorax like some of the other twists we've done. So enjoy the spaciousness, the freedom. Breathe into the chest. Come back round. Come up onto all fours and move that spine around. So anything that's going to be freeing for your back, that was a lot of diversity and postures for your spine. When you're ready, find your way back to child's pose. Let your back relax here. Deep breaths. Come on up to dog pose when you're ready. Nice, deep, steady breathing. Take your feet hip width or a little wider. Isometrically pull your feet apart from each other. Wake up some of those muscles that stabilize your pelvis. And then walk your feet forward and come to a much deeper squat. So now, unless your knees don't do this or your hips don't do this, in which case come to a higher squat. But now we're in full garland pose. Drop the hips down. Breathing well. And release the hands, lift the hips high, heel toe your feet in. Drop your seat, lift your chest, rise up. Big breath. Relax your arms down. Okay, so let's free up the twisting now. So this is very gentle. Try to let this just release, be a releasing pose. You know, a lot of what we've done has been very strong work for the twisting of the thoracic spine. So now we want to let the hips go with us. So there's just a sense of ease and twisting, nothing difficult. How is your breath? Come back. We have one more twisting posture to do, standing. So go ahead and find right foot forward, left foot back. You might need a block or two. And Parsvottanasana legs. Reach your heart and lift it skyward. And then exhale and lengthen forward. We're going to take our left hand onto the block, right foot is forward. Square up the hips and start to twist into a revolved triangle pose. Now you might find that this posture, you might feel it in your hips now because we haven't done as much to open up the work of the hips in a twist as much as we have in your chest. All right, so find the posture that's right for you. Twist the rib cage. So take the sense of your sternum changing directions, lifting up. The rib cage is what's moving. Now breathe into the deep fullness of that twist. Long spine. Full long exhales. And then relax. Back to neutral. Bring your back foot forward. Uttanasana. Relax. Bend your knees a lot. Let your neck soften. Squat down a little bit deeper like chair pose, but their feet are hip width apart. Hands on the outer knees. Press outer knees into hands. Try to pull your feet apart. Feel those stabilizing muscles again. And then relax. Melt the spine. Hands on blocks or come up. Now our left foot is going to come forward. Okay, find your breath. Be here for a moment. You can lift your arm in the air if you want to, your right arm. You don't have to. Reach forward, bring your hand onto a block or maybe two blocks. So height can really be helpful for the back. If your back is hurting you in these twists, having some extra height can be very helpful. Inner spiral the thighs. Square up the hips. Try not to let the left hip pop out to the side. Keep it integrated. Long spine. Start to rotate the chest. Feel the rib cage move. It's more about the ribs than the low back. So, a lot of times we take the burden of twisting in our lumbar spine. Feel it in your thorax. Breathing well. The more spacious you can get the spine, the more grounded you can get your legs, the more full you can get your breath, the easier the pose becomes. Relax and melt. Bring your hands down, foot back, dog pose. Take your feet wide on the mat, turn your toes in. Long, spacious spine. Come bring your knees down onto the ground, child's pose. All right, now when you're ready, come onto your back. Experience a neutral breath for a moment. Shoulders are relaxed. So notice, the twisting of your thoracic spine. What's a little, what's feeling it? What's a little vulnerable from all the work we've done? I promise we'll get you in a place of freedom from that feeling you have right now. But first, let's go ahead and put your pelvis up. Actually, this will help. Put your pelvis up on the low edge of a block to begin. Now, you can stay here. I would recommend staying here. But if once you get there, you're like, no, I need to go higher. Then by all means, you can go higher.
But see what it might feel like to stay in the low position for a breath or two and see if that's enough for you. If it's not, make a change. Breathing well. Let your body rest in this position. All right, now when you're ready, take your knees toward your chest. Keep your pelvis up on the block. And just drop your knees toward your chest for a moment. And then let's go ahead and relax your feet back down onto the ground. Lift your hips and go ahead and surrender. Now, we're going to come into heart bench. You might want to blanket on top of your blocks if you're feeling vulnerable in your thoracic spine. The block between your vertebrae can go this way, or if you're shorter or just blanket this way, you can go this way. So your choice. The low block is underneath your shoulder or in between your shoulder blades, and the middle height block is underneath the base of your skull. You can always put a blanket over both blocks if you need more softness. All right, now bend your knees, feet on the ground for a moment until you find, oh yeah, that's a good spot for my back. And then once you're comfortable, you can keep your feet there or you can take your legs straight, your choice. And then decide what you want to do with your arms. You can have a moment of grabbing onto your elbows and stretching them overhead. You can take your elbows and cross one or over the other and hold your opposite shoulders. You can take your arms straight out like a T or a cactus, or you can have your arms down at your sides. So experiment with what's going to make your thoracic spine feel at ease. And if you're here for a moment and you're like, something's not right, try to adjust the blocks slightly. And if you can, begin to melt where the base of the skull or the back of the head is resting on the block so that the base of the skull can melt. Soften the root of your tongue, your jaw, let your mouth have a slackness to it. Feel yourself move into the breath. Turn to that feeling of the long, steady breathing, both inhale and exhale. Through the nose, imagine those nasal passages slightly blocked off. You don't have to touch your nose at all, but just imagine. When you're ready, there's no rush. If you're really happy, you can stay for a bunch more breaths. But when you're ready, roll over onto your side. Bring your knees, fairly bent, hips fairly bent. So there's a fair amount of soft flexion in your body. And breathe into the back of the heart. we can get very stuck and rigid in our breathing and in the mobility of our thoracic spine. And, we do a lot of forward folding and back bending and twisting and side bending in yoga to keep us supple in our bodies. Just notice those fixed thorax twists that we did, when you met upon your range of motion that you had a stop gait to. You had to kind of find that. Notice the impact, that's tiring to do a lot of thorax work. So now just let your thorax rest and relax.
You are ready. There's no rush. You can stay like that the whole rest of the practice if you want. Come up and sit in Virasana. So we're sitting on a block or two, or maybe you're sitting in a different position because this is not available to your knees or feet. That's fine. Okay, so it doesn't matter really which position you're in, but if you can be in Virasana, try it. Okay. We're going to open up your chest, lift your arms to the sky. And then we're going to cross your left arm over your right arm for eagle arms. Drop the shoulders, lift the elbows a little bit, relax the jaw and the base of the skull. Find your breath. And now, I can't believe I'm going to say it, but collapse your chest a bit and just round forward. And come back up. Elbows lift. Open up. Spread your arms wide. Cactus the arms. And then release your hands down. Pause for a moment. And then we'll change sides. Right arm over left arm. Drop the shoulders, eagle arms, lift the chest, spread the collarbones. Elbows come up a little bit, relax the jaw and the base of the skull. And then as you're ready, round forward just a bit. Just find the place that's comfortable for your back. Back up. Unwind the arms, big open chest. Maybe a cactus, maybe not. Shake out the hands. Now, if you're still comfortable in Virasana, let's stay here. And if you need a different position, let's take a different position. I'm just going to have a moment of breathing here. Close your eyes. You can have your palms up or down. Nice neutral back. There's no technique other than just paying attention and slowing it down. Have that ujjayi breath where we're having a slight internal restriction or constriction. The sound changes, can sound like you're breathing in a wind tunnel or a seashell. Let's find our way out of there and find Shavasana. So as you come to lie down on your back, take any, I would suggest if you want to have your legs up on something. So I'm gonna put my legs up on the couch. I would get a bolster or blankets or blocks or something underneath your knees today if you want to put your legs up on a couch or chair. So whatever feels good, that is just a suggestion. You do you. Now, once you get comfortable in whatever position you're going to be in, see if you can find that Ujjayi breath again. Nice steadiness to the mind as the mind follows the breath. Start to let yourself drift into that deep place where your body melts in its weight. The face is soft. The chest and belly are relaxed. Breath. Long, steady exhale. Begin to invite movement, whatever movement feels good. Eventually finding your way onto your side. And as you do, take a moment curled up on your side again, like we did a few minutes ago. And see if you can just breathe into the back body, the side bodies. As you are ready, go ahead and find a comfortable seat. So push yourself up with your arms. Be very gentle on the uprising. As you come back to a seat, just pause for a moment, bring your hands together. One more steady breath. many more steady breaths. Let's offer our awareness, our practice, our energy outward to someone who needs your love and care. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.